Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is George Herrera with the Queens Home team at Keller Williams Realty. In today's video, I'm answering the question, how to get a property appraised higher, or how do you get a house appraised higher? Now, part of the selling process, right? If you're in the process of selling a property, then at some point you'll get offers, hopefully, and you negotiate an accepted offer, a win-win agreement with the buyer, and you'll move forward with the next steps, which are the inspection, and then you'll move forward. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. You go into contract, and one of the first things that happens after you go into contract, if your buyer is taking a mortgage, is that the bank will order the appraisal. So the bank will send an appraiser out, and they always are a third party, but an appraiser will come out to the house to appraise the property. And the goal, the objective here is always to have the property appraised for the contract price. That's the goal, because then you can keep everything going forward smoothly. Now, as a homeowner, you might be wondering, what can I do, or how can we get the property appraised higher? You really just want it to come in at contract price, but obviously you as a homeowner or your agent, your listing agent, you would want them to do everything they can to justify the contract price and even more if possible. So what can you do? There's a few things that are in your control or in your agent's control, and other things that are not, right? So whenever the appraiser comes in and they do the appraisal, they will be looking at recent sales within the last 6 months. One of the things that we tell all of our clients to do in order to help us when we get to the appraisal is to make a list of all of the repairs and improvements and renovations that have been done throughout more recently, let's say within the last 5 to 10 years. And so we have a template that we use, a document that we send to our seller clients, and we tell them to please fill it out as best as they can recall, or as best as they can, fill in all of the repairs, improvements, and renovations that they've done within the last, let's say, 10 years. And all of these items, we share this with the appraiser when we get to the appraisal. We usually give it to them, and that way they can see all of the work that has been done. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is make sure that your listing agent is pulling up comps that were sold within the last 6 months that help justify the contract price. So obviously you're not going to be handing the appraiser, giving them comps that are below your contract price or that don't help you justify. So this is where your listing agent's expertise will come into play. And what they want to do is obviously pull up good comparable sales that the appraiser can use. You know, they don't always take an agent's comps when we give them to them, but many appraisers will accept whatever comp packet that we provide. And if we give good comps that help justify the price, that's something else that can be done to help the house appraise higher, or just to help the house appraise at the contract price. So a good comp packet is good, and especially for your listing agent, you know, you want to make sure that you provide good comps to the appraiser. So if it's an attached home, you can't give detached comps, or if it's a detached house, you don't want to give attached comps, or you don't want to give ranch comps for a colonial, certain things like that. You want to make sure that the living space and the square footage is similar. So you want it to be, let's say, rule of thumb, plus or minus 200 square feet, so that it can be considered a comparable, right? So whenever the appraiser comes in, they create a detailed report, and they make plus and minus adjustments for all kinds of variables of the property. So if there's external obsolescence, there would be a deduction. If one has a finished basement versus unfinished basement, there's a deduction. 40 by 100 versus 30 by 100, there's a deduction, right? So all of these little things come into play. But what you as an owner, or what your agent can do to help justify the contract price or to get the house appraised higher, is to number one is coming up with a really good comp packet, right? So that's something that every listing agent should be doing. When you go to the appraisal, go with a strong strong comp packet to provide that will help justify the price. And as I mentioned as the first thing that you can do is draw up that list, come up with that whole list of all of the repairs, improvements, and renovations that have been done within the last 10 years. So those two things are two things that are in your control that you can do. The last thing I would say that you might want to do, right? So sometimes if you're within the comps, if your contract price is within the realm of a lot of the recent sales, then you shouldn't have a problem. So you should be able to appraise. But on occasion, we sell properties that go far above, or they go outside of what the recent comps are selling for. And in those situations, that's when you want to be even more proactive to try to help justify why this property is selling higher than the average properties in the area, or higher than most of the other homes. So in those situations, what you might want to do is also share or reference the comps from when you priced the property, right? So when your agent initially priced the property, they were looking at comps for most likely the recent 6 months before hitting the market. And then by the time you go into contract, when the appraiser pulls up their last 6 months of comps, some of those property sales that you used in pricing it may have fallen off. They may be over 6 months old by the time the appraiser gets there. So you might want to also reference, just in case you see that the recent 6 months of comps are not really helping justify the price, you might want to go back to the original comps you referenced when you were pricing the property and see if there's anything there that was helping justify the price. And you can also include that in the comp packet to give to the appraiser and let them know this is why we came up with this price, and this is one of the comps that we used as a main point of reference when we were pricing it. So those are a few things that you can do to help a house get appraised higher. A lot of it is just being proactive, speaking with the appraiser and sharing any information that you have. It's always advised that your listing agent goes to the appraisal. And a lot of times when we go to appraisals, we talk with the appraisers. We obviously try to be as friendly and accommodating as possible. And whenever we're selling in an area that is a micro neighborhood or certain trends are happening, we like to explain that to them at the appraisal. So sometimes appraisers can be coming from other counties, they can be coming from other towns and might not know the hyper local intricacies that are happening in your area. So a good agent will be able to explain those things to the appraiser, and they may or may not use it, but it doesn't hurt to just explain what's happening in that local market, in that neighborhood, and what the local market trends are for that specific area. So that's something else that can be done. Well, hopefully this helps answer the question. So the question again was, how do you get a house appraised higher? These are some proactive steps you can take, or your listing agent can take. The goal is always to have a property appraised for the contract price. So you want to do everything in your power to help the property appraise, because that will ultimately keep the deal going smoothly so that you can eventually get to the closing table. All right. If you have any questions about this specific topic, feel free to drop them in the comments below. And if you have any other real estate questions or ideas for future video topics, feel free to email us at info@queenshometeam.com, and we'll be sure to shoot a video as soon as possible. All right. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Take care and stay tuned. Bye-bye.